Hey y'all, welcome to Paige's Perspective, where I help you find your inner strength to cope with life. Today I want to talk about something that comes up a lot in the community or within some questions that we receive on social media. And I see this a lot. And it's this idea that if you could just communicate better, be more calm, more kind, more understanding, then the problems in your relationship would go away. Let me say this loud and clear right off the bat, that there isn't a communication problem within these relationships. There's a listening problem, there's a respect problem, and there's a values problem. But the way you say things, that's probably not it. Now, don't get me wrong. There is absolutely value in learning how to communicate clearly, confidently, kindly, and speaking what you want in a way that goes by your values. It's a great skill to have, and we all should be working on that. But somewhere along the way, we've started to believe that the right phrasing or the right tone is going to fix our problems. If we just say it just right, then things would change. As if there's like this secret code that if we crack it, the other person will finally get it. And that would be easy, right? If we had the proper way to communicate, or if we had the right words or the right tone, like we would be teaching that all day long and there would not be any issues. But that's just not the reality of life or these relationships. And when we believe this, it becomes really exhausting because we start twisting ourselves and our thoughts, and we overanalyze our words. We tiptoe around their reactions. We rehearse conversations so many different ways in our head before we even open our mouth. And that's not communication. That's actually fear management. And it's trying to avoid the inevitable backlash. That's hoping if you say it just right, they'll finally change. Let me paint a picture here for you real quick. You say, hey, when I bring something up that bothers me, you get defensive or you turn it around on me, and I just want to be able to talk without it becoming a fight. They may respond with, why do you always have to make everything a problem? Or you're never happy with anything I do. Or here we go again, you're always on my case. Or you're so controlling. Why do you always have to bring things up? So you try again, next time more gently. Hey, I'm not trying to attack you. I just want us to be able to work through things without it turning into blame or defensiveness. I want to feel like what I say matters. I want to feel safe here and be able to speak up. And then you're met with the same type of response. There's defensive, dismissive, maybe even manipulative. And that's when you start to spiral and you think, maybe I'm just not saying it right. Maybe I came off too harsh. Maybe if I write it down instead, you become obsessed with the how instead of confronting the what. But here's a deeper truth. We're not just trying to be understood. We're trying to control the outcome. We don't just want to be heard. We want them to finally wake up, take responsibility, and change. So we keep talking. We bring it up again. We reword it. We soften the edges. We wait for a better time. And we keep doing it because we're clinging to the hope that the next time will be different. That this time they'll listen. That this time they'll care. But communication with an agenda, that's not really connecting. That's actually bargaining. And you can't bargain your way into a healthy relationship. At some point, you have to say what's true and let go of the outcome. Not because it'll fix them, not because they'll finally get it, but because it honors you. You can't control what someone else does with your words. You can only control whether or not you keep betraying yourself by staying silent. And that's hard. I get it, but it's also powerful. So let's shift the lens for a second. Let's talk about when communication does work. Like, what does it look like in a relationship where you can solve problems with actual communication? Because yes, it's possible and it's beautiful when it happens, but you'll know when someone is capable of solving problems with communication when they stay present instead of getting defensive. Now, we all become defensive sometimes. This is human. This is a natural reaction sometimes to certain things that are said to us. So we will get defensive occasionally. But if it's constantly happening and you feel unsafe, then that's a red flag. If they're taking responsibility without being forced into it, that's when you'll know somebody is being serious about the way they communicate. They show curiosity instead of contempt. Like, they're curious in what you're saying. Like, they're actually listening to you. And they follow up with words with consistent, grounded action. It sounds like, I get why that hurt. I want to do better. Or, oh, I didn't realize that. Let's talk about more how I can show up differently. That's emotional maturity. That's when communication is worth your time. That's when it's a bridge you're building together and not a lifeboat you're trying to throw at someone who's drifting further away. And listen, some of y'all are tired because you're being gaslit by advice. You've heard, just use I statements. Don't raise your voice. Don't make it about them. Stay calm. Be kind. And yes, we talk about these things. We do. I think it's very important to have these types of communication skills in any type of relationship you have. But they only work in relationships where both people want things to get better. In unhealthy and or unbalanced dynamics, communication skills do not create change. They actually delay the truth. Or they do bring some more clarity because you are starting to communicate in a way that aligns with your values and you can actually see what's happening within your relationship and the other person's communication skills. But if you're the only one changing or adjusting, and you're the one walking on eggshells, it's not communication. That's more of just damage control. You're allowed to speak up without perfect delivery. You're allowed to say what's on your mind. You're allowed to have boundaries that upset people. You're allowed to say that this isn't working without apologizing for how you said it or why it's not working. I'm also one to believe that you don't have to spell out your boundaries over and over again in different ways for somebody to understand them. You can say it one time and that's it. Like, you said what you felt. You stated your boundary. You've put it out there to the world. You've set your expectations. There's no need to say it over and over again until they understand it. Like, that's it. That's your boundary. That's it. They can do what they want with it. So the goal isn't to finally, find the magic combination of words to get someone to care or to hear you. The goal is to get clear on whether they even want to. And if they don't, that's not your fault. That's not your failure. That's just information for you. That's the clarity that we talk about. And this is why we do it, why we think communication will fix everything. Because we were raised to believe that if you're calm, you're clear, you're kind, people will listen to you. That adults solve problems by talking it out. TV shows show you that if you just have a conversation with somebody, if you tell them how you feel, they'll hear you. Those are just not reality. Like, think of Full House. Love that show. Absolutely amazing show. But talking it out, like, they would solve so many problems. That's not how it works in real life or in these types of relationships. And then we think that, if someone really loves you, they'll want to hear your heart and change and be there for you and just, respect you and what you're saying. So you keep trying. You keep trying to communicate differently. You believe that maybe if you just explain it a little better, they're going to get it. That if you could just if they could just understand how much it hurts you, they'll stop. And you think they're not bad. They just don't get it yet. And to be fair, that logic would make sense if the issue was a misunderstanding, but a lot of the time it's not. They do get it. They just don't have the capacity to take accountability. They're not emotionally mature enough to take that responsibility, or they're more invested in protecting their comfort than in building something real with you. That's when communication becomes a trap, because you're not speaking to connect anymore. You're speaking to convince. So I want to end it with this. You don't need better communication. You need better alignment. You need safety. You need to be heard without auditioning for basic respect. So say what's true. Let go of the outcome. Stop waiting for your words to finally land. And if they won't meet you there, it's not a cue to try harder. That's your cue to move differently, to act, to ask yourself if this is what you want your version of partnership to look like. In our program, Independently Strong, we have a full module on communication. We focus on value-based communication, where you express what matters to you without losing yourself in the process. It's not about convincing somebody to do a certain thing. It's really just helping you communicate in a way that feels good for you, and also understanding the type of people you are communicating with and what to expect. So it's not to change the outcome. We just help you let go of the outcome, because communication is about clarity. It's not about control. It's not about controlling the other person. So if you're interested in the program, it's 10 modules long. It's self-paced. We have the 75% off discount at independentlystrong.com or twfo.com and use code Wheelie75 to get 75% off. It's a great program. We really do hit on a lot of things, and I really do appreciate the communication module because it does help you just communicate in a way that aligns with your values. So that's all I have for you today. Until next time, I'm Paige. Bye.